Hello, I'm Robert Kelly, and today on Record All Monsters, the giant claw, suspension of disbelief, and dumb, bad science.
That it was a battleship.
Something as big as a battleship.
Like we're hitting a battleship with a slingshot.
A bird as big as a battleship.
Bird as big as a battleship.
A flying battleship. Flying battleship.
Flying battleship.
Flying battleship.
Flying battleship. Flying battleship.
Thanks to YouTuber James Rolfe and his channel Cinemassacre for that compilation of the word battleship. When I began outlining this series, I knew I wanted to talk about the giant claw. I wanted to talk about how producer Sam Katzman had worked for Poverty Row Studio Monogram in the 1940s and had learned how to cut corners like a pro there. I wanted to talk about how in 1955, Sam Katzman and fellow producer Charles Schneer hired Ray Harryhausen to create a giant octopus for their movie It Came From Beneath the Sea, but paid him so little that he could only give the thing 6 legs. I wanted to talk about how when Katzman wanted to make his giant bird monster movie, partially inspired by the success of Rodan the previous year, he decided Harryhausen would be too expensive and hired a visual effects team in Mexico City to bring the creature to life. I wanted to talk about leading actor Jeff Morrow's humiliating experience watching the movie for the first time, hoping nobody recognized him after they started laughing at the ridiculous beast the characters on screen kept reacting to with sheer terror, sliding lower into his seat as the film played on. I wanted to talk about how Katzman's corner cutting, say that 5 times fast, I barely said it once, resulted in a perfectly serviceable B-monster movie being assigned a place on the cinematic scrap heap of history. And then I watched the movie again. First of all, the above stories are so well known that to do more than lightly touch on them would be boring for longtime cult movie geeks, and for people who might be hearing them for the first time, they're more or less true, and fun. Second of all, not only are these stories incredibly well known by now, but so is the giant claw itself. I mean, the monster. Everyone's seen it in YouTube videos of worst movie monsters, even if they haven't seen the movie itself. But what I began thinking about while I watched it, with this show's lens as a history of giant monster movies and their development as a genre, was how much bad science is in it. About 40 minutes into the movie, a boxy-looking man with pointy ears and the world's tiniest mustache explains that the monster bird is from outer space and has an invisible antimatter shield that makes it impervious to all weapons and keeps it from showing up on radar, and that it somehow opens the shield to attack. Also in the same scene, you can see someone behind the camera's shadow on Jeff Morrow's chest. They're scratching the back of their head. Look, it's easy to sit on our couches and laugh at the obvious puppet who looks like somebody plucked Big Bird's older brother. It's easy to make fun of the bad science. I'm no science guy, but even I could tell it doesn't make any sense. Apparently, it's also easy for some of you to make fun of the inconsistencies in the types of aircraft used in each scene. I'm also not an airplane guy, so they all look the same to me, and this part passes muster. There are only 4 kinds of airplanes, you know. Little shooty ones shaped like triangles instead of airplanes, big ones that too many people get shoved into so they can travel, and old-timey, shoot-down King Kong and Snoopy ones. Sometimes these last ones have propellers. If you'd like to correct me, send your airplane-related inquiries to recordallmonsterspod@gmail.com, and I promise not to ignore them. Make sure to put the word airplane in the subject, so I know not to ignore it. But enough about my willful airplane ignorance. I'm trying to say that it's easy for us to make fun of bad effects and bad science in a pretty bad movie, But the fact is that we're still talking about the giant claw over 60 years later. So it must have done something right, even if everything we see on screen is wrong. Our two leads, the aforementioned Jeff Morrow and the lovely Mara Corday, have great chemistry together and have a great scene of some rapid-fire flirting that would have been at home in a romantic comedy from the previous decade. It's a real shame that the scene starts with him kissing her without her consent, which I'm sure most modern audiences will find jarring. I know I did. The real reason I wanted to include the giant claw in my history of giant monster movies is precisely because it's so bad in those areas I've already mentioned. That's what has kept it around for so long. The chemistry between our leads is good, but it's not what people remember. People remember that goofy buzzard's head swinging down towards the camera in the same footage being repeated over and over and over and over. And they remember that the only thing people can compare a large object that flies to in this world is a battleship for some reason. This is a movie where suspension of disbelief is pretty much impossible, because everything has been played so straight, too straight, while being too ridiculous in practice. It illustrates the importance of the special effects team working closely with the A unit to make a movie successful on its own terms, something the Giant Claw, unfortunately, but very certainly, is not. But it is successful, just not on its own terms. It's a little bit like Rocky Balboa at the end of his first movie. Winning or losing at this point doesn't matter. What matters is that he did it. He went the distance. Being a good movie doesn't matter for the Giant Claw. The fact that we have it to watch and enjoy and poke gentle loving fun at is enough to justify it. It's enough that it was made. The Giant Claw may not be an A-list monster or even a B-list monster, but it has its fans, and I count myself among them. It's too much fun to be mad at for stinking, and I really have a good time. So here, on the bathroom wall that is my podcast, I'll leave a little graffiti as my final word in this part of the episode. For a good time, watch The Giant Claw.
A bird. A bird as big as a battleship, circling and preparing to attack the CAB plane.
Hello, I'm Robert Kelly, and welcome back to Record All Monsters, where we're here with returning guest, friend of the show, friend of mine, friend of Courtney's, Ray Hanley of the band Bonsai Nation.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, welcome back, Ray. We're real pleased that you're here.
Thank you.
And so we just watched The Giant Claw.
Yes.
And I want to get your fresh opinion.
Hilariously awful. Super entertaining. I had snuck in some, sneak previews of The Giant Claw before I watched this, so I kind of knew what I was in for with the monster, but even still, so bad it's good. I don't know. It was fun to watch, but it was, just pure awful.
It's one of those things. I find the movie I enjoy watching it. I have a good time watching it, especially with other people.
Yes.
But I find it frustrating to an extent, because everything is like this close. You're listening, you can't see, but I'm holding my fingers about a half an inch away from each other.
Yeah, it almost nails so many little things, but
And part of the reason I brought you back for this one is because we saw you were here for The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms.
Yes, yeah.
Which was kind of the archetypical American 50s giant monster movie.
Yeah, there were some similarities.
Yeah, the broad story structure
Yeah.
is very similar. There's a military experiment with a civilian operator.
Mm-hmm.
Something goes wrong on his end. He's disbelieved.
Yes.
And then...
they're up in the cold somewhere.
Yeah. Then the monster is seen and the military is like, tell us what to do! There's some French Canadians in this movie as well.
Because why not?
And then they kill it with a magic bullet.
Yeah, that's right. The antimatter shield destroying ray gun or whatever it is.
These are protons. These are electrons.
One's negative, one's positive, and that's how they work. Until it isn't. I know antimatter is a real thing.
Yes.
But I'm not sure if... I'm not a science guy, as I said in the essay. The listener's going to know that. But that didn't...
Yeah, it wasn't convincing that that's the way any of that is supposed to work. But they used all of the right vocabulary, so why not?
Another thing, like I said, it's kind of frustrating because so much of the movie is, competent.
Yeah.
And you look at something like Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, where stuff isn't super compelling a lot of times when the monster's not on screen. Beast from 20,000 Fathoms is a good movie, and not just because of the monster stuff.
It's probably in spite of the monster stuff.
But this one, it's, again, even that stuff, the monster is legendarily horrible. But the human drama scenes are just shy. Once again, I'm holding my fingers this far apart from each other.
There's some charming moments, But there's also some not so charming moments too.
Many not so charming moments. The kissing her while she's asleep.
Yeah, that didn't age well.
Nope. Nope. And then he waxes philosophical about it.
Yeah.
And then the guy behind them gets mad at them for talking, which also tracks, so...
He's like, go back to making out. Now, I just realized here, 6 episodes into the show, that I should probably read some statistics about the film.
Sure.
To the guests, the audience. So this movie is called The Giant Claw, as we have been saying and laughing for the past 5 minutes. It was produced by Sam Katzman.
That's right.
Was written by Samuel Newman and Paul Ganglin. Directed by Fred F. Sears, who you may know for directing the 1951 Western Bonanza Town and the 1952 Western military film Black Hawk, Fearless Champion. He didn't have much of a career. He was primarily an actor.
Oh, wow.
And it stars Jeff Morrow as Mitch McAfee and Mara Corday as Sally Caldwell. And you can find all of that on IMDb.
Is Giant Claw the last movie he ever did?
Let's see.
Because I just wonder if,
Yeah.
that could be anybody's last movie.
Opening up IMDb once again. 54 director credits. Oh, geez.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay.
no, I guess.
It did not sink his career. That's good to know.
Oh, geez.
I bet it made money.
It must have.
Well,
yeah.
let's see.
Heck, we just watched it 50 years later.
Well, he directed 3 films in 1957: Utah Blaine,
Oh, wow,
Calypso,
he was busy.
Heatwave, and The Giant Claw. I'm sorry, 4. And then The Night the World Exploded.
Sweet.
Those all sound like Mystery Science Theater.
I think The Night the World Exploded might have been on Mystery Science Theater. I'm sorry, I missed another one. Escape from San Quentin.
Okay.
And then 1958, he did The World Was His Jury, Going Steady, which appears to be a teen comedy.
Going Steady.
Crash Landing, another plane movie.
We saw a hint of Going Steady with the
That's right.
those crazy kids and their salt shaking.
Why the salt shaker?
Badman's Country and Ghost of the China Sea, all in 1958.
Dang, he was busy.
Oh, geez. Those all came out in 1958. He died young.
Wow.
age 44. Due to a heart attack.
Bummer.
His last 5 films were released posthumously. So,
Dang. Must have been burning the candle at both ends.
yeah, jeez. Poor guy.
But that's the era of the B movie.
There's so
That's
many.
true.
They
Yeah.
made a lot of money, so
Yeah.
And people
for
line.
low budget.
Yeah, that's the key, the low budget.
Well, I mentioned briefly producer Sam Katzman. He was
Yes.
he was a producer at Columbia. He wanted Ray Harryhausen to do the stop motion for this,
Yes.
and then he was like, it's going to cost how much?
That'll put us into A territory.
No bird movie is worth this. Well, it's funny because Harryhausen had cut corners for him before. Like he did It Came From Beneath the Sea, which is a giant octopus movie
Okay.
from the year before.
And is that stop motion?
It's
or-
stop motion, yeah. And one of the ways Harryhausen cut corners on that was he only gave the octopus 6 tentacles.
Okay.
But filmed it in ways that
Yeah, cleverly enough to where you're not counting
you're not
the tentacles.
counting. Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, I haven't seen that one. That's for sure.
It's better than this.
Okay.
Although, you know what? That kind of, in the essay that the listener would have just heard a little bit ago, I kind of talk about how this movie's notoriety, like you said, here we are watching it 60 years later.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of makes it better in a way than movies that are actually better.
Yeah. They kind of, I don't know, they end up in the wash or however you would say it. Well, this one is so bad, it just, we
Right.
remember it, obviously.
Well, and there's like stuff that is that is really great and very bad. Mm-hmm. They're both going to outlast things that are okay. Or
medium.
pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this movie, again, is barely competent in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And there's some good stuff. Some of the writing, some of the dialogue is pretty
Some of
good.
the dialogue it cracks me up.
I think Jeff Morrow delivers it pretty well, too.
No, he was one of my favorite parts of the movie,
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, I don't know. He had some lines that would crack me up,
Well,
for sure.
Him and the puppet.
And the mathematician who only brought sandwiches into every
Yes.
for some reason.
Sandwiches are here, everybody. Courtney, what is... So you're a woman.
Indeed. Well, definitely didn't pass the Bechdel test. That's for sure. But
No.
she seemed to be pretty involved in everything.
That's true. Even when they tried to replace her with a calculator,
Yeah.
they did not eventually replace her with a calculator. So
Yep.
she was on the plane.
Yep.
And the other thing, Courtney, you mentioned in passing was this teens and their salt shakers. Do we have...
Yeah, why did that girl have a salt shaker?
Margaritas.
And then when they go onto the side of the road to look at the teens' corpses, I guess? Because that never follows up. No,
Yeah.
They were lifted into the air with their car and dropped by
Yeah.
the giant claw. There's no way they survived.
But then Mara Corday picks up the salt shaker.
Something was missed there that I clearly did not understand.
Was it a salt shaker? I thought it also kind of looked like a tiny wine cooler. But
I guess. Did they have those in
I
57?
don't know. I know a lot of stuff about this time period.
Maybe it's a baby sham. One of those.
So, dear listeners, if you know anything about
Yes.
wine coolers in the 1950s or why teens would carry around salt shakers,
Write a 5-star review and leave it in the comments below. Yeah.
5-star review. I already probably pissed a bunch of people off by telling them to email me about airplanes in the essay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was it because of the inconsistent planes we were talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
like, a lot of the criticism I've read about this movie was like, F-15 changes into an
plane
F-48.
stops, yeah.
And I just, we tried to pay attention to that while we were watching it just now.
That was a point of emphasis, and I didn't notice anything.
There's one time that I was like, maybe?
Yeah.
But
the plane they focus on the most had a pretend ray gun,
Yes.
painted on the back or whatever. Give Katzman a break. Come on.
Yeah.
So Sam Katzman, feminist icon, national hero. This is a fun movie, and I think it's bad, but
It's as fun as it is bad, which is the saving grace, I would
right.
say.
And I think that we should be grateful that there are movies like The Giant Claw.
Yeah. But being entertaining is what every movie strives for, and what many of them don't even get. These guys did it on accident, so.
Yep.
That's the final word on The Giant Claw. Anyone else who says anything about this movie from now on is... You don't have to listen to them.
It's like trying to hit a battleship with a slingshot.
That was another thing. The bird is famously described as a battleship.
Yes.
Throughout. We attempted to count. And about 30 minutes into the movie, we got to 6. And I put my pad and paper down to take a drink. And I never picked it back up again. And
I don't remember hearing more, but clearly there was. I think we only counted halfway there. There was 10 total, right?
10 total, according to some sources.
Yeah.
Which...
and that could be an understatement. Who knows?
It could. I think I read somewhere that they said there were 12 instances, but the compilation I have on my phone of the word battleship,
I believe that was 10.
10 instances.
So it's double digits at least.
That's for sure.
That's actually where they got the game.
Okay.
The end.
You suck my giant claw.
I can't believe none of us said that when the claw was sinking into... Spoilers, by the way. When the claw, for a 63-year-old movie? 64-year-old movie?
Yes, yeah.
For when the giant claw was sinking into the ocean, I can't believe none of us said, "You sunk my battleship." Has anyone said that? That's a free riff for you if you throw a movie riffing party after the pandemic is over.
Yeah, or during.
Yeah.
Oh, not in person, during.
Well, no, but you can do it.
If they do the mystery science theater version,
Yes.
they will have to say that.
You sunk my battleship.
Yes.
And on that note, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back to play our new game show with Ray. You've been boning up on this subject.
Yeah, I'm still nervous that I will go over whatever, but that's okay. That's all. That's half the fun.
The subject of this game is Mexican horror movies. And it is called El Santo, contra el Caca de un Toro. Which translates... I try to keep the show all ages, so I'm not going to translate that. And we'll take a quick...
All ages for English speakers.
Yeah, you can get away with a lot.
I mean, you can kind of.
You can tell what it means. And, well, who's it? Joss Whedon got away with a lot of cursing in Chinese on Firefly.
Of course, yeah.
He gets away with a lot of things.
Yeah. We don't like him. Okay. Taking a quick break. We'll be right back with more of your favorite podcast. I know it's your favorite podcast.
Hello, I'm Robert Kelly, host of Record All Monsters, and this is an ad for Anchor. That's right, an ad for Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. I was super intimidated to start this podcast until I heard about Anchor, and there are a number of things that made me feel more at ease to begin. First of all, it's free. They have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. They distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on multiple platforms, including whatever one you're listening to. And you can make money from your podcast easily with no minimum listenership. All you do is enter your information, Anchor takes care of the rest. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. This is the mandatory call for action that I have to read out now, but it's true. You can download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. I've been Robert Kelly, host of Record All Monsters, and this has been an ad for Anchor.
Alright, everybody, welcome back to Record All Monsters. We're here to play the game El Santo contra el Caca de un Toro with our special guest, Ray Hanley.
Yeah.
Okay. Today's movie featured a marionette as our monster that was made in Mexico City for $50, allegedly. Mexico has its own proud tradition of monsters and horror movies, some of which are just as outlandish to American audiences as some of the Japanese ones we'll be discussing later. So in our game today, El Santo contra el Caca de un Toro, I'll read you a brief synopsis of a Mexican monster movie, and you'll tell me if it's real or not.
All right.
There will be no prizes or penalties. I considered offering $50 like the cost of the puppet, but I decided to keep them for myself.
Rude.
I was like, we have $50?
You know, if we had a Patreon, we could have $50.
There you go. But then you have to make extra Patreon content.
I know. If we ever did do a Patreon, we'd probably just do a weekly mailbag.
There you go. Yeah.
Which next week's mailbag is going to be something special. Those of you listening,
Ooh.
Send mail, please.
continue to send mail.
Yes.
So we don't have to read receipts for like surveying.
And I'm calling out Benyo. Benyo, you know who you are. Nobody else knows, but Benyo, you know.
You know Benyo.
And you don't have to send us anything else yet. We appreciate you. We love you. Unless that's weird if you're not ready for that at this point. I understand, and I can walk that back. Anyway. Question 1. A scientist cures his son's leukemia by replacing his heart with a gorilla's, but it turns him into a murdering were-ape who is brought to justice by a lady luchador. Is it real or el caca de un toro?
That one sounds like a legit Mexican horror script to me.
Okay, Ray, you're already doing better than last time. That is
real. I'm 1 for 1.
What movie is it?
Released in the U.S. in 1972 as Night of the Bloody Apes.
Night of the Bloody Apes.
Released in Mexico in 1969 as The Horrible Man Beast, and in Europe as Horror y Sexo. The same year.
What?
Excellent.
How old is the son?
He's a grown man.
Okay.
It's like we watched The Colossus of New York the other day for another quick look coming up. And it's like that kind of situation.
Okay.
An adult man with a scientist father.
Gotcha.
Okay, question 2. A teenage orphan finds an alien dying of a gunshot wound in the street the night he is told that he's too old to live at the orphanage any longer. It gives him an alien ray gun in its dying moments, which he uses to get revenge on those who have wronged him. Is it real or el caca del toro?
I say it should be real, but I say it's not real. Sounds made up.
Ray, you are right again.
Yes!
That one is fake, but it was inspired by Laser Blast, an early Charles Band movie that was featured on Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Well, there you go. So there is something to be seen in that area.
I always base my fake answers on something. Almost always.
The most credible fake answers around.
Is that one of the Star Wars knockoffs?
Kind of. In the movie itself, the guy with the laser, which he steals from a dead alien.
Oh, we watched that.
We did watch that one. He shoots a billboard that says Star Wars.
Oh.
Like, take that, Star Wars!
That's funny.
It's like how in the movie Orca, Dino De Laurentiis had the orca. It came out a couple years after Jaws. He had the killer whale.
There was an orca movie? What?
Yes. Oh, Ray. I have such sights to show you.
And it was just called Orca?
It was just called Orca, and it starred Richard Harris, a.k.a. Professor Dumbledore.
Yeah.
They have the orca kill a great white shark in the first part of the movie.
Which is scientifically accurate.
Scientifically accurate, but for movie people, it was like, whoa! They can kill Jaws!
What?
Okay. Alright, question 3. Two alien women gather male aliens to reproduce with from around the galaxy before landing on Earth and falling in love with and fighting over a singing vaquero who tames the one he loves. Is it real or el caca de un toro?
Oh, man. I have no idea. I'm just going to go with not real, fake.
Okay, Ray, I thought you were going to invert what you did last time, but you missed this one.
Dang, so that's a real movie.
That is a real movie?
That seemed unreal, but...
It's called Ship of Monsters. It's a 1960 Mexican horror sci-fi comedy and stars the winners of the Miss Mexico pageant from 1953 and 1960.
Woo.
Excellent. Yeah, that is an interesting sounding movie.
All right, we got two more. A serial killer uses his helicopter to stalk and seduce women, who he takes to his castle and feeds to his cats. One woman escapes and makes a hole in the fence, which allows the cats to also escape, and they turn on their master. Is it real, or el caca de un toro?
Oh my goodness. Another one, I'm kind of just throwing an answer in the dark. I'm going to say that one's real.
That one is real, Ray.
Nice.
Night of a Thousand Cats is a 1972 Mexican horror film released 2 years later in the U.S. as Blood Feast.
Oh no, the cats got out.
A different movie from the 1963. A different movie from the 1963 Herschel Gordon. A different movie from the 1963 Herschel Gordon Lewis movie, also called Blood Feast.
Blood Feast. Oh, that is an excellent movie title. That's so funny.
It's great. Courtney, one of your friends on Instagram was watching Night of a Thousand Cats a few months ago.
Yeah.
I just remember that because I had just written this question.
Ah, sweet.
And
Cool.
it's like, I've seen that movie once. It's interesting. Mexican horror movies have a special place in my heart. They're not quite as much fun as Italian horror movies, but
those seem to be the classics, but from the little research I've done on Google, they seem awesome.
They are. All right, last question. And your score is 3-1.
All right, that's passing.
Last question. You've already won. You still get nothing. A handsome bandito helps a woman trapped by a witch escape from her prison, only for both of their past to separate them just as they begin to fall in love. The witch kills him as they declare their feelings for one another. Is it real, or el caca de un toro?
Seems legit to me. I don't see why that wouldn't be a Mexican horror movie.
It's fake, Ray. It's fake. Now I'm going to have to bleep you.
I thought it was
Oh,
I thought it was real too.
darn, another missed point for that.
But it was inspired by the 2009 animated Disney musical Tangled, which is much better than Frozen.
Agreed.
Not according to our nieces.
Well, no, not according to our nieces, but what do they know? They are 6 and 2, respectively.
They're wonderful.
They're great, but they're 6 and 2.
That's right.
Which is, percentage-wise, almost as good as Ray's score of 3 and 2.
Hey, I'll take that. Much better than last time.
Much better than
where
last
I got
time.
every question wrong. So.
Well, did I tell you anything of what the game was about last time?
No, I don't think so. This one, at least I had a little bit of, some heads up. So
I'm sorry about that, but
oh no,
I do design these games to lose.
It's like a carnival game.
It is. It really is. This is how I indulge my inner carny.
Well, I'm glad to be a part of it.
I think Courtney, has gotten in an episode that's coming out later, got all her questions right.
Yeah, and
Nice.
I didn't write any of them.
You ran the table. That's impressive.
She did, and the next full episode after this, which we already recorded with author John LeMay. That's a teaser for you guys at home. Talking about Veron the Unbelievable, or Varen the Unbelievable. Either way's right, I guess. But he also got all of his questions right. But
As an author, I say he should.
well, he literally wrote the book on Lost.
What could you possibly ask him that he wouldn't know?
He literally wrote the book on giant monster movies from Japan. So
You're sourcing your questions from his book.
I am.
That's funny.
But
You could have indulged him to a game of Tyrannosaurus Sex as well, which would have been, I'm sure he would have appreciated that.
oh
but
god,
hey,
I need to find a reason to bring that one back.
that one was hilarious. I don't lie. That cracked me up.
There are actually a lot.
What is like ravaged by Triceratops? Oh god. Yes, so terrible but amazing.
Taken by the pterodactyl, and then Courtney, you asked if there was a P before taken.
Oh, yeah.
Very clever.
Taken by the pterodactyl.
Ravaged by this Triceratops. That one will stay with me.
I have another dinosaur movie coming up, and maybe I'll switch gears on that game.
Nice.
But I just want you to know, Ray, you're not the only person to have gotten all the questions wrong.
Oh, good. I'm not a giant loser. Yes.
Our friend from Monster Kid Radio, Derek M. Koch, when I was on his...
An actual podcaster guy did as bad as me.
I was on his show back in November, and actually the week before your episode came out.
Really?
And he... I did a mini version of the game for him, and he...
You made him get all the answers wrong on his own show? Oh,
I felt bad.
You were trying to make it extra hard, though.
I was trying to make it harder than usual because Derek knows his stuff.
Okay,
and,
yeah.
Again, the game is designed to lose. But Ray, I want to thank you once again.
Hey, thank you for having me. Super fun. Yeah.
And you got anything you want to plug?
Oh, not at the moment, no. Yeah.
Same album still out?
Same album still out, yeah. The One Piece of Land, Bonsai Nation. It's on everything, Spotify, iTunes, whatever, YouTube. So.
Great.
Yeah.
All right, Ray, well, we hope to have you back soon. Thank you so much for coming.
Anytime, yeah. My pleasure, guys.
All right. Well, thanks again to Ray for stopping by and talking with us about the giant claw. Thanks to Courtney for all of her technical help, everything she does. And next week for you, we're going to have a brand new monster mailbag with some actual mail. I think we hinted at that in the interview or before the game, one of the two. And then the week after that, we'll be talking with author John LeMay. He just put out a new book. I'm holding it in my hand right now. Editing Japanese Monsters, Volume 1, part of his Lost Film series on the Big Book of Japanese Giant Monster Movies. It examines over 100 different cuts of various American versions of Japanese monster movies. I was very excited to talk to John LeMay. I fangirled a little bit throughout the episode, so beware of that as you're listening. And you can buy that book on Amazon. You can buy all of his books on Amazon. He's a great resource for this show, and we have a great time talking to him. But that's next week. Or week after next, because next week is the mailbag. So if you want to contact us and be featured in that mailbag, you can send an email to recordallmonsterspod@gmail.com, or you can check us out on our social medias. We're at MonstersRecord on Twitter, recordallmonsters.pod on Instagram, and you can just search Record All Monsters Podcast on Facebook. That'll bring our group right up. You can also leave a review on whatever platform you listen to if it allows you to. Go ahead and leave us an honest 5-star review if you feel that way. And then, of course, we are still hoping to get nominated for a Rondo, and you can do that by emailing taraco@aol.com, TARACO@aol.com, or you can get on the Classic Horror Film Board on Tapas, I believe. There's a link to that on our website, which is recordallmonsters.wordpress.com, in our most recent post. So, that's all I have to say to you, you wonderful, wonderful people. Aside from to remember that monsters are your friends, and we'll see you next week.